different reasons why a lot of you think you can't land a remote job, and most of the times these are misconceptions, myths, things that are in your head and simply not true. So if you're thinking remote job is not for you, sit down, we are going to have a talk. I have compiled 10 frequently asked questions that I always get of reasons why you think you can't land a remote job, so we are going to answer all of them. Number 1, do you need a degree to work remotely? And the good news is that there are things that are more important than having a degree to work remotely. One of them is actually having skills to work remotely. That is more important than having a degree. There are a lot of companies that will not list as a requirement that you need to have a degree. Not too long ago, I posted on my Instagram stories about this fear that a lot of people have, that they actually need a degree in order to work remotely. And I loved it because by the way, insert the DM that I got here. There's this company that I always recommend. They have remote jobs and they're a really great company to work for. They responded to my DM like, it was something like, as long as you have the skills, we do not care if you have a degree or not. So that is a sentiment that a lot of companies have. Like if you can show that you're able to do the work via either work samples, your skills, or for example, if you're a graphic designer and you can show your portfolio, that is even more important than having an actual degree and the piece of paper. So don't worry if you don't have a degree. You can absolutely land remote jobs without a degree. I know a lot of people who work remotely and they do not have degrees. So if that's your case, you can still land a remote job, do not worry. Plus, the only way to learn things is not through regular traditional education in college, right? Nowadays, if you learn skills through an online course or through tutorials and you get really good at it, that works too. It doesn't matter that you don't have the piece of paper from an accredited institution or whatever. I help people land remote jobs, and it's not just my followers and you over there watching me on YouTube or all my course members. It's also my family and my friends and everyone around me. A lot of people around me work remotely because I've been like, sit down, let me tell you about how you can work remotely and this is how we're gonna make it happen, and I teach them everything I know, right? My brother's girlfriend, she actually landed her first remote job when she was still a student. They didn't ask her for like the degree or the piece of paper. She was still studying and she landed the remote job. So if you're still a student, you can also land a remote job. Then I would say that one of the questions I get asked the most is, can I find a remote job if I am not a US citizen? And I have good news for you, because number 1, I am not a US citizen and I've been working remotely since 2015. There are many companies out there hiring remote workers worldwide, and they have the systems in place to do it legally and to be able to pay you in your bank account no matter where you are located. So if you're worried that you might not be able to land a remote job because you're not a US citizen, don't worry. There's a lot of legit companies out there that are offering remote jobs that you can do from wherever you are. They can hire you no matter where you're from. My brother also works remotely. He landed his first remote job back in 2019. We are Panamanian and Colombian. We are proof that you do not need to be a US citizen or be European or Canadian. There are a lot of options for everyone no matter where they're from, especially nowadays with all the companies hiring worldwide. I am constantly posting companies that are hiring worldwide in my remote job directory. So if you go to my remote job directory, wantremotejobs.com, if you see the companies that are hiring worldwide or that are 100% remote or that are work from anywhere or global, those are different keywords that you can look at if you are looking for remote jobs and you are not a US citizen, because they are going to be able to hire you no matter where you're from. So focus on finding remote jobs and applying to remote jobs that say that. Otherwise, you are going to be wasting time if you're applying for remote jobs at places that are just hiring in like the US, for example. And I have a course called Land Your First Remote Job, in which I help people land their first remote job by teaching them all they need to do in order to land remote jobs from beginning to end, what they need to do, all the steps they need to take with, guidance, support, worksheets, templates, all of that is included inside the course. And inside this course, I have people from all over the world. I have helped people literally from everywhere. I think we should insert some examples of people here that I've helped. So you have Ecuador, Panama, Mexico, France, Canada, of course a lot of people from the US. I have someone from Argentina. So people from all over. I can't remember all the countries, but yeah, I've helped people from all over the world land their first remote job. Another question I get asked often is, are remote jobs only for creatives or for designers or for people in social media? People think that in order to land a remote job, they either have to be a creative person who is a video editor or a blogger. They think that they need to be like a social media person. Sometimes they see me, what I do involves content creation and all that. There are companies right now that are fully remote, so that means that everyone in the company, every department is working remotely. So everyone from, the finance department, accounting, HR, customer service, social media, legal department, all the departments are working remotely. So there are remote jobs for everyone in a company that is fully remote. So you don't have to worry and you don't have to change careers or change to a different industry. You can do the same thing that you were doing, but remotely, so you don't have to suddenly become a graphic designer or a social media person, don't worry. This question I get asked probably every day. Can't I land a remote job if I do not have previous experience? Now, if you do not have like any kind of experience, like maybe you just graduated high school, then you are going to focus on learning skills, doing personal projects, doing any type of things that are related to the kinds of jobs that you want, that would allow you to say that you have some skills, even if it's entry-level skills, to land a remote job. Now, if you are talking about not having previous remote experience, no problem. You just need to do some things to get ahead and to stand out from the competition. So for example, you are going to learn skills, or you are going to identify the skills that you already have. That is even more important. Then you are going to learn tools that would allow you to do the same job that you were doing, even if it was not remote, to do it remotely. So you learn tools like maybe, Google Drive, Zoom, some project management tools, different kinds of tools that would allow you to do the same job or remotely. So you do not need previous experience. Of course, you are going to get higher paying remote jobs if you have 10 years of experience, but it doesn't mean that you cannot land a remote job if you're just starting out in your career. There's definitely remote jobs for everyone. And by the way, one of the reasons why my course is called Land Your First Remote Job is because I help people land their first remote job. That means that they did not have previous experience. They had never done it before. I'm helping you land your first remote job. So all these people who are landing remote jobs with my help, they didn't have previous experience and they're making it happen. So it's a matter of looking, and it's a matter of identifying the skills that you have. And there are a lot of options out there. I try to post any entry-level remote jobs that I see as soon as I see them, so that you can have access to those. Do you need to be active on social media in order to land a remote job? Now, if the remote job that you want is in social media, like if you would be a community manager or a social media manager, then yeah, you kind of have to be active on social media so that you can show proof of work on your personal social media platforms, or the ones that you created, the content you created for clients or for your past employers or whatever. If the job is in social media, yes, you probably have to be active in social media. If the job is not in social media, then you do not have to be active on social media. Let's say that you want a job in customer service, like remote customer service representative or something. They're not gonna care if you're on Instagram or not. It can be private, you don't need to have it, you don't need followers. Having a social media presence or platform does not matter. You do not need it in order to land remote jobs. Now, if you want to be a blogger or an influencer or a content creator or a TikToker or a YouTuber, sure, that's different. If you want a remote job working for a company in their legal department, in their HR department, it doesn't matter if you have a social media or not. But that being said, I do want you to be very careful with your social media presence if you already have one, because whenever an HR person or a recruiter or an employer is trying to see if they want to hire you when you apply for a remote position, they are going to look your social media up. Usually one of the first things that comes up is Twitter whenever we type your name on Google. So make sure that you Google yourself and see what pops up when you Google your name on your resume, because if we Google you, I'm saying we as if I was hiring right now, but I did work as a recruiter and hiring candidates for a lot of years. That was my first remote job ever. So that is what I would do. I would Google the person, and if the first thing that popped up was their Twitter account and they were fighting with people and they were going on rants and they always had negative things to say, do you think I called them for an interview? No, señorita. That was scary for me. I was like, if this person is fighting with people online, they might be fighting with their coworkers too, or with our clients, you know? So that was kind of a red flag. So if you have a social media, make sure that it's clean, delete anything that's shady so that you can get hired and not scare the employer away. But you don't need to be active. Do you need a home office in order to have a remote job? People are always like, do I need to buy an ergonomic chair if I want a remote job? Or do I need to have an office space inside of my home? And I think sometimes when they're looking at job descriptions, they see that they say something like, you need to have a quiet space in your home, or you need to have a designated work area, because they just don't want you to be working next to a dog, next to the kitchen, next to your kids screaming, and in an environment that's not professional, just in case you have to like talk to clients or whatever, right? But you definitely do not need a home office. Don't be spending money on trying to buy like chairs and fancy things that you think you need for a home office, because really all you need to work remotely is a laptop, a smartphone, and Wi-Fi. So as long as you have that, you can work remotely. I worked for a long time and I did not have a home office. I was just working from wherever I was at the moment. I worked while traveling a lot of the times, like for 4 years. And while I was doing that, I was just working from my couch or from my hotel or from a co-working space. So no, you do not need a home office if you want to work remotely. After like 6 years of working remotely, I actually just got a home office for the first time now. So all that other time I was working remotely from home while traveling, and I didn't have a home office, so yeah, don't worry. Do you need to make a big investment to start? Definitely not, okay? So people think that maybe they need to buy or invest in like a home office and the ergonomic chair and the fancy computer and all that. So you definitely do not need any of that to begin, all right? If you have a laptop, as long as it works, you're probably going to be able to do a lot of remote jobs out there. Now, if the job is more advanced and you need to do like coding and whatever, then you might need a special computer for that. But if you're doing customer service or HR and you're basically just sending emails and doing basic things like that, you can do that from any computer. Some people tell me like, oh, but this company asked me for an upfront fee to start. No, señorita. If anyone asks you for an upfront fee to start, that is a scam, okay? Remote jobs work exactly that like they do in the real world. So you don't need to pay anything upfront for like equipment or training. If anything, they should provide that and pay you for training, or they should provide the equipment. In some cases they do, not always. But you do not need to make a big investment to start. Like if you want to learn something new, like a new skill or something, that's different. But to actually get hired, you never have to pay. Another question I get pretty often is, what if I don't want to work while traveling? When we talk about remote work, a lot of the times we talk about being a digital nomad, working while traveling, and with the flexibility, you a lot of the times want to take advantage of that, and you want to go to different places and be a digital nomad and experience what that feels like. So of course we are going to highlight that kind of flexibility because it's exciting, it's fun. But if you don't want to work while traveling, you don't have to. Some people get a remote job and they work from home. if that is something that would help you in your lifestyle, maybe you're a stay-at-home parent, maybe you just want to be home, you don't want to go anywhere, you don't have to. So you don't have to work while traveling to work remotely. You can work remotely and just work from home, and then maybe take more vacations because now you have that flexibility, but you don't have to be a digital nomad constantly on the road or traveling or anything. Do you have to be a certain age in order to work remotely? The answer is no. I mean, we associate working remotely more with like Gen Zs and millennials, just because Gen Zs and millennials are going to naturally be more tech savvy, and you do need to be a little tech savvy in order to work remotely. Like if you struggle uploading a document to Google Drive, then remote work might not be for you. But if you can do a lot of things online, you can probably land at least an entry-level remote job. Of course, maybe not, a super advanced job in coding or IT or something, but yeah, you can land a remote job with basic knowledge of technology. So age really does not matter. It's more important that you can, work a computer and feel comfortable around remote work tools and all that. In my course, I have had students that are 19 years old, I think is the youngest one, and I've also had, I think the oldest one might be till this date, a lady from Colombia. She is 53 years old, and she did land her first remote job like in customer service. So, and she didn't consider herself too tech savvy, and she was able to make it happen. So the age really does not matter. It's more a matter of if you're willing to learn new things online and if you are kind of tech savvy. Now, do remote jobs pay well? Of course, if you're going to leave your traditional job and your stable income for a remote job, you might be like, am I gonna risk it all? Is this a good decision financially? And the good news is that there are a lot of companies that are offering competitive salaries and benefits, and even things like healthcare and all those things that you appreciate from having that traditional job maybe. So there are a lot of companies offering all of that, no matter where you're from. And then while you have your full-time remote job, if you're someone who is very like adventurous and kind of like a hustler, let's say, you can eventually do other online side gigs, or you can freelance here and there, or you can get passive income. Once you start getting comfortable with remote work and just making money online, you naturally start gravitating towards different ways to make money, and you start, learning new ways to make money online. If what you want to know is more information about if you are going to be able to have financial stability once you land a remote job, my last video was actually all about that, and I have 2 real life examples from course members, from a follower, my own experience with remote work and all that. So you can go watch that video next to see what your life would be like once you start working remotely in terms of your wallet and your pocket, okay? So go watch that video next. Bye.